You have them in front of you, I believe. They've been posted. And I want to let you know that while we're doing the Zoom meeting, if you want to speak, I'd ask that you'd raise your hand so that you could be called on. And if you're not speaking, I'd ask that you mute your microphone so we could all hear the speaker better. And for the trustees, when you are called for roll call, state your name and give us where you're located, your location. And when we do make a motion or a second, if you could state your name also, that would help us very much. So let's see, we've gone through the Zoom. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can stand, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Burt,
Present, Flint Township.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Present, Flint Township.
Mrs. Anderson,
Present, Flint Township.
Ms. Miller,
Here, Flint Township.
Mrs. Funk, present, Flint Township. Mr. Clee,
Present, Flint Township.
Ms. Campbell,
Present, Flint Township.
we're all here.
Great. Do we have any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda? Anyone? I don't think so. So we'll move on to, oh, there's, we don't have minutes this evening. They'll be ready for review, correction, or approval at our next meeting. So we'll move on from there to our presentation of the 2020 audit. And I'd like to introduce Christopher Gilbert. He is, where are you, Christopher?
Right here. Can you hear me?
I hear you. I don't see where you're at. Anyhow, Christopher's with, oh, there you are, with Plant Moran, looking very nice. And do you want to introduce anyone that's with you, Joe or anyone?
Sure. Yeah. Real quick, I'll give a quick introduction. I am the manager on the account. I've been working on the township audit for about 5 or 6 years. I have with me Joe Kowalski, who is a colleague partner on the engagement.
We're glad that you're here, and you have the floor for our presentation this evening.
All right, thank you. I'm just going to, this is Joe Kowalski. I'm gonna just do a quick introduction of the audit material today and go over the letter that we have presented to the board. And then I'll turn it over to Chris, and he can walk you through some of the highlights of the financial information. And we'll be happy to take any questions that you have along the way. First of all, I'd just like to start out by saying a big thank you to the township staff. You know, Kevin and Karen and Beth and Lisa and Chris, you're going to have to chime in because I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody, but there's so many people who help us through the audit. And it's not easy to be audited. I was formerly a finance director at a county, and so I've been on that side of it. And I always try to impart that to my staff, that it's much harder to be audited than it is to audit. And so we really appreciate the professionalism that your team put forth during our audit. It makes the process a lot easier, and they do really good work. So thank you very much for that. And you know, just a little context on that, you know, it was another year where we have a remote audit situation. And so that adds a little bit of complexity to how we, you know, request and communicate and obtain information for the audit. But I do want to take this opportunity to reiterate that in spite of the fact that we were remote, a little extra effort on your staff's part to help accommodate that. We were able to complete all of the audit procedures in the expected time frame, and there were no corners cut, and we did conduct a fairly robust audit to reach our final conclusion. And I would want to point out that the final conclusion is a clean opinion. That's the highest level of assurance that you could get, and it's definitely something to be proud of. And I'll talk a little bit more about other results of the audit as I just walk you through this letter. So you can see on the first page here where we just talk about section 1 and section 2. Section 1 are the required communications that audit standards would have us communicate to you as the board. And then section 2 has some other recommendations and legislative information that we think you would find interesting. And so some of them might be more relevant to your situation than others, but in all cases, they're interesting to local units of government in Michigan. So you might want to take some time to read through some of those. So moving on to the first page of section 1, just a reminder that we are conducting our audit under the normal government or generally accepted auditing standards, and that the financial statements are prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles for government. We did communicate to you as a board at the start of this process about our expected planned scope and timing. And that letter should have come your way in February, and we were able to follow the plan, and there were no deviations that became necessary due to anything that would have come up during the audit. A couple of other just points of emphasis is one, that we find that the township uses a high quality level of accounting policies in preparing their financial statements. And there were no new accounting policies adopted during the year. As with every year's financial statements, there are some estimates that are particularly sensitive, and we just want to highlight those to you. Estimates related to both the pension liability and the retiree healthcare have a number of assumptions built into them, and those assumptions are used by the actuary in determining those liability estimates. And as part of our audit, we do examine those assumptions for reasonableness, and we were able to determine that we felt they were reasonable, agreed with management on those assumptions. There's a section that we're required to talk about difficulties encountered in the audit, and very happy to reiterate what I started out this discussion saying, which is that no difficulties whatsoever. In fact, complete and full cooperation the entire time. No disagreements with management on any matters of accounting or audit. And just another point to be proud of, no corrected or uncorrected misstatements. And so there is one thing that every year we do talk about, and we're just required to let you know that there is a disclosure required by GASB for some required supplementary information, which would be the annual money weighted rate of return for the retiree healthcare plan. And that is not presented by the township. And the township management's determined that not presenting that information is immaterial to the financial statements. We've agreed with that assessment. It is an immaterial disclosure in this case. And the reason that the township doesn't provide that is that the investment advisor has not been able to provide that information for inclusion in the financial statements. There were no significant findings or issues for us to report to you. We are required to let you know that every year we do get from management a management representation letter. And what that is basically a letter from management to us as auditors, letting us know that they've provided us with complete access to everything that we've asked for. They haven't held back anything and have been forthright in sharing and providing information. We're not aware of management consulting with any other accountants and trying to, opinion shop is what they basically call that. And again, we had no disagreements with management on any matter. And so that really concludes the results of the audit. And if there's no questions on the results, I would just point your attention to section 2 of the letter. So section 2 of the letter, the very first item on this section 2 is just a reminder that the municipal street fund had a deficit this past year. And as a result, which is a pretty normal matter of course, but the township is required to file a deficit elimination plan with the state. And all this really means is that the street fund had a project that wasn't part of the budgeted expenditures. I believe that was related to the Linden Creek Parkway. And so it's a pretty routine matter to file the deficit elimination plan. And I know Kevin is planning to take care of that. There's a number of other legislative reminders. I'll just kind of point out a couple of them. One, the first one right here is our COVID Resource Center and information that we have put together related to ARPA. You know, that's a continuing conversation. We know it's important to all communities and that you've been discussing ARPA as well. And what we are trying to do is to make sure that we're staying up to date on events as they unfold and providing a forum for sharing some of that information. And so if you have a chance and you want to click on this link in this document, I think that you'll find some information there related to all the different types of COVID funding, including ARPA. We do also have a webinar series for 2021 related to government. And, you know, a few of them are related to governmental accounting and auditing, and that might interest some of you, might not interest others. I don't blame you. It's not the most engaging topics for webinars, but there is one that probably would interest almost any government official, and that's our webinar on fiscal sustainability for governments. And that's going to be a conversation on October 12th about budgetary and operational challenges that a lot of municipalities face. And so you might be interested in taking a look at that. There's a lot of other information in here. I'd just kind of ask you to kind of take a look as you have time. And then if you have any follow-up questions, you could definitely let us know. But I just kind of want to flip to the end of this letter so we can get to some of the interesting highlights that Chris is going to share. And at the end of the letter, there's some information here that just a kind of reminder that accounting standards are never settled into their final form. They're always changing. And what that means is management is, you know, they're going to have their hands full with some upcoming pronouncements. There's a summary of those pronouncements here at the end of the letter. And they will be working on determining the impact to the township. And we will be helping Kevin right through the analysis and providing toolkits and making sure that he's well prepared to take whatever steps are necessary to get a complete implementation in the required timeframes. So that's all I had on the letter. And I'm as anxious to hear from Chris as you are, but I'm happy to take any questions that you have on the letter. If you want to pose those now or wait till after Chris does his presentation, either way is fine by us.
So can I ask on that webinar for fiscal responsibility or management, will you send out notification to all your clients?
Yes, we will send one to you directly. In addition, anyone who is subscribed to our Government Insights newsletter will also receive an invitation, and there is a link on how to subscribe right in this document.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Joe. So I will move us through some financial highlights. So as you know, each year, typically what we do is we like to present the audited financial statements in a slideshow presentation rather than going through the 70-page financial statement document. I feel like this is a lot easier to present the information and to digest. So we will go through step by step here. So the first thing I'll start with is the general fund. So typically what we do here is show a 5-year trend analysis. And again, this is specifically for the general fund, looking at the revenue over the last 5 years. And these numbers are in the thousands. So for the year end 12/31/2020, revenue for the general fund was at about 10.4 million in total. And as you can see here, looking historically, general fund revenue has been very consistent over the past several years, increasing slightly for the most part each year. The federal, and then below here, we kind of break it down by category. So the federal and state sources category was the category that saw the largest fluctuation over last year, which was about an increase of about 126,000 this year, which is pretty much entirely due to the result of a few federal grants that were received during the year, mostly related to CARES Act funding and COVID-related grants. Another category that increased was the licenses, fines, and fees category here in the middle of the table. So you'll notice that this category was at about $664,000 during the year, which is about $114,000 increase from 2019. And actually, this is primarily due to the building department, which saw an increase of a little over $100,000 in revenue due to construction permits, which is actually the highest amount of building revenue that there has been in quite some time. And this next slide is presenting the same exact information. It's just kind of showing this in a pie chart, just laid out a little differently. So kind of the big takeaways here is, there are three larger revenue streams of the general fund, which are property taxes at about 3.8 million or 37%, federal and state sources, which are basically federal grants and state shared revenue for the township at about 3.2 million for the year or 31% of general fund revenue. And then special assessments at about 15% or just short of 1.6 million for the year for 2020.
Hey, Chris, can you hold on a second?
Yes.
I don't know, someone's got some background noise that's interfering with your presentation. If everybody could make sure they're muted, please. Thanks, Christopher.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Can everybody hear me okay? Good, okay.
Yeah, that's much better, thanks.
Perfect. All right, so we're gonna look at the same thing, essentially same concept here, but looking at the general fund expenditures. So we do see a slight trending increase here in total general fund expenditures, as of the total fiscal year 2020 was at just shy of 10.9 million in total. In comparison with the previous year specifically, all of the categories were pretty consistent, with the exception of public works, which did slightly increase just about 116,000, which was mostly due to an increase of garbage collection costs. And we are going to break down the general fund a little more as a whole in a few slides coming up, so stay tuned for that. And again, this next slide just again shows the same information, just kind of showing it in a pie chart and just showing you that, I guess, high level public safety does make up a significant portion, about 55% of the general fund expenditures. In 2020, just over 6 million. General government made up about 28%, just over 3 million. And then public works makes up almost the remaining amount of 1.7 million or 16%. So I think this slide here kind of pulls everything together and shows a nice little summary of the general fund in total. So again, with 10.4 million in revenue and nearly 10.9 million in general fund expenditures in 2020, the general fund had a loss this year of about 463,000, resulting in total fund balance at the end of 2020, just over 4.1 million. So of that total fund balance, about 1.6 million is either restricted or earmarked for future years. And the residual down here of 2.5 million is actually what is assigned and available. So I think one thing that stands out here is that the past, I think, 3 years of expenditures have exceeded revenues. So while you've been able to balance the budget, you haven't been able to add to the fund balance in the general fund in a few years. So I think to reverse that trend, something to consider and that management's been considering is how do you increase your revenue while holding or decreasing your expenditures? And I know, again, management is looking at this and has a few ideas that they're working on, but I think it will become increasingly important as you continue to have discussions also surrounding planning for your long-term capital needs and your legacy costs that we're going to talk about in a few slides coming up here. So now we'll take a quick look at the Police and Fire Millage Fund, another major fund of the township. So this accounts for the revenue and expenditures in the police and fire departments. So there were some additional contributions made to the MERS pension plan a few years ago for the police division. But since then, the annual expenditures and revenue in this fund have been pretty consistent, with expenditures being slightly above revenues over the past few years. So this has resulted in a slight decrease in fund balance in each of the past few years, ending with about 1.3 million in total fund balance at the end of the year 12/31/2020. And then real quick, we'll talk about the sewer and water fund here. So there's a lot of information here, but kind of high level. Again, this is showing a trend analysis for the past 5 years. And I think the first thing you'll notice is that total revenue has slightly continued to exceed total expenses, and that has resulted in a positive increase in that position over the past few years. However, the margin does continue to get a little thinner as expenses have been increasing a bit more rapidly than revenue over time. So another thing is also, while it isn't shown here specifically or explicitly, the net investment in capital assets does make up a small percentage of the net position. It's about 1.6 million. So that's one indicator that a lot of the infrastructure is aging as they're getting close to being fully depreciated. So with all of this considered, we do know that the township has been looking at a capital plan and working to come up with some kind of estimate of how much it would be to repair and or replace the system and get it up to date, as well as how to fund these updates to the system. And as you can see here in the 2020 far right column, while about almost 9 million of the unrestricted net position does relate to cash in the sewer and water fund, this balance isn't enough to obviously fund an entire system replacement. So another consideration here is obviously to look at a rate study or considering how you're going to adjust the current rate structure, just to ensure that the users of the system are paying for it over the long term. And I guess any questions before we talk about legacy costs?
So Christopher, can you hear me?
Yeah.
In our sewer and water account, we are looking at doing a rate study. There will be a presentation to the board once we get our capital improvement plan together. That will go to the board, plus what our plans are specifically for sewer and water. But I think that the last time, Tracy, you might be able to help me with this one too. The last time we raised the sewer rates was in 2009. So we're heading on what, nine, almost 12 years. And the last time we raised water rates, if I'm not mistaken, was 2011. So that's been 10 years. So it's definitely time. You can see that last year, I think with the governor's mandate not to shut off any water, we lost a bit of money, a bit of revenue in the sewer and water department. But we do have plans to take a look at what we do going forward. So I just want to mention that on the last slide.
Sure. And here, these last couple of slides, we are just talking about legacy costs, as mentioned before. So the township, as you know, has 2 pension plans. The one here in the middle column is for the clerical and non-union police officers, firefighter, and the firefighters hired after 1/1/2012. And this is the MERS plan. And then they also have the firefighters separate plan. So for each of these plans, there is an annual required contribution determined by the actuary. So we have included those amounts here as well as the actual amounts that were contributed by the township during 2020. So for the MERS plan, you'll notice that the net pension liability was almost 15.2 million, and it was just over 58.9% funded, which did increase by a percentage point from last year. And then the firefighters pension plan, the net pension liability was just over 2.1 million, and it was about 79.8% funded as of the end of 2020, which actually did increase by 4 percentage points from last year. So one thing to keep in mind is this information is presented. It's a snapshot at a specific point in time at the end of the fiscal year, but we did want to provide this snapshot of where each of these plans were at as of 12/31/2020. And just another note that the township has been contributing extra where it can and continues to consider how to fund these legacy costs in each budget and just long term. And then the other legacy cost is the OPEB plan. So for the OPEB plan specifically, same concept here. So the liability was at just under 21.5 million. as of 12/31/2020, which resulted in the plan being about 3.3% funded. So this is compared to 2.2% last year. So it should be mentioned that, well, this is, significant number. Just 2 years ago, the liability number was north of 25 million. So, and the plan was below 1% funded at that point in time. So we know that a lot of communities are dealing with this challenge of funding these legacy costs. And we know that the township is continuing to take steps to reduce this liability, and we'll need to continue to keep this as a focus and keep this in mind as it continues to access its long-term and capital cost needs over time.
I have a quick question. On the last slide on percent funded, that means that's what the township is paying for, is that correct?
Yeah, so the 3.3% right there.
The slide before,
Oh,
59 and 79%?
yeah. So basically what that is we have the total liability number here, and it won't let me go back, I apologize, but it's basically a function of the assets in the plan that the township has contributed. So so that would say the township has contributed, if it was the 21 million here, or if I go back to the last slide, I believe the numbers were about 15 million. So the township has contributed just north of 7 million in terms of the assets in the plan that are actually earning on investment. So, sorry, it won't let me go back here. But that percentage is a function of how much of the liability that is actually funded that the township has contributed and, it earned investments on.
And firefighters, if they were hired before 1/1/12, that means the township's funded almost 80% of their MERS.
Just under 80%, yes, correct.
Okay,
But that MERS plan does have a few different divisions. So I think the firefighters is one function of that, but there's a few other divisions in there as well in that specific MERS plan.
I'm new, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah, great question. Great question. Any other questions before we wrap it up here? I know that was a lot of information in a short period of time, so. If not, that is the end of our presentation. So I'll reiterate what Joe said. We do appreciate all of the help that the township and all of the members that we've been working with. There's a lot of work that goes within a short period of time. So I know Kevin and his team have to put up with us and answer a lot of our questions during the audit. So we definitely appreciate their timeliness in getting us everything, and this results in obviously getting this filed timely, but we do appreciate all of the efforts and all of the efforts of the team that have been working with us.
So again, it's something new to have to do this all electronically, and you guys have done a great job. And I didn't make mention of our new controller, Kevin McIntyre. Beth Takis, I believe it was our 2 meetings ago, Beth retired after 32 years of service on May 27th, and she turned the reins over to Kevin McIntyre. And I know there's such a lot of work that goes into preparing for that audit. And so, Kevin, thank you for all the work that you did. Beth, if you're watching, thank you for the work. And Plant Marian, thanks for the work that you put into this. This is very helpful to all the trustees. And I know it's required too, but thank you very much. It's good working with you guys.
Thank you.
You as well. Thank you.
All righty. So we're going to move on to public comment. And if you'd like to address the board, I'd ask that you'd state your name. And I don't think we need location. You'll be given 4 minutes to address the board. And we'll just say goodbye to Christopher and Joe. And Kevin, if you're going to head out too, thank you very much. Kevin McIntyre, we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great evening.
So I'm trying to see if anyone's raising their hand to address the board. I'm not seeing anyone at this point. Am I missing anything? No, it doesn't look like anyone wants to address the board right now. So we're gonna move on from public comment unless, yeah, that's it. So we'll go to staff reports. And for the supervisor's report, I have a few things. One is I'm very glad that Terra has been able to man their recycling truck. We went several weeks without recycling at curbside, but they did provide a truck and some dumpsters at the township offices to collect that recycling. And they've also mentioned that they would be giving us a credit on our bill for the weeks that they didn't pick up curbside. And the next thing I want to mention is last weekend, and I don't have the date in front of me, I could find it, but we have a former treasurer, Mike Coburn, who served the township in the 80s, in the late 80s. He passed away. Let me see if I can pull up that information. Sorry, I should have had it sooner. Nope, I don't have it right now. Anyhow, I just wanted to make mention that he was young and he struggled with his health, but I want to just take a minute if we could just remember him because life passes by so quickly. So if you'll just give a few seconds of a moment of silence and we'll remember him. Thank you for that. Nextly, I want to mention that we are looking at putting together a committee for the Veterans Memorial. I know that talked with Tracy Tucker and a couple of, I think Carol Fafdal and Barb Vert. If anyone else is interested, I'm putting it out there that we will take anyone who wants to volunteer to help get this going. We'd like to see that built, and maybe we can add on to it later, but we need to see something in the ground this year, and it would be great, very much appreciated if there were people who are interested in volunteering to help us with that. And if you are, just give me a call. You can call the office or call my cell phone and we'll set a time to meet. I was hoping to meet by the end of our first meeting by the end of June. That's all I have right now for my report. Madam Clerk, do you have a report this evening?
The only thing that I have to report is I would like to congratulate Angie Tygeson on achieving her Michigan Professional Municipal Clerk designation.
All righty. And that's it, Madam Clerk? That concludes your report?
That's it until that concludes it until we get down to the informational items.
Sure. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for us this evening?
No, I do not.
Thank you. We'll move on to staff. Chief Salter.
Yes, ma'am, I do. I can go with the fire department first tonight. In the last 2 weeks, we responded to 29 different calls. And during that time frame, they're getting more inspections done. They completed 26 inspections, including 4 different hotels. And other than that, I'll go to the police department. And since June 7th, your police responded to over 1,400 calls, which is about 105 per day average. 80 traffic stops, about 104 business checks, 36 residence checks. As I'm sure most of you guys are aware, there's a homicide last week in Hunter Ridge Apartments. A 21-year-old was shot and killed. This is still an active investigation, and anyone with information is urged to call Detective Beckwith at the Flint Township Police Department. Also, there's a bomb threat last week at the Walmart. A customer heard a suspect saying he's going to blow up the store. The store is evacuated and cleared, and we were assisted by the Michigan State Police, the Genesee County Sheriff's Office, Genesee County Parks, Grand Lake Township, Flint City, and the Flint Township Fire Department. The suspect was arrested and lodged at the county jail for the charges. Over the weekend, we had a crime prevention awareness at the senior center. We had 100 people that showed up for this event. Even though it was raining out, we were assisted with that with the fire department. And I do not have any items for the agenda tonight.
Thank you. Tracy, do you have a report for us this evening? You're on mute.
Just a couple of things. There is a planning commission meeting on Thursday evening at the township. And I think there's only 2 things on the agenda. One of them is a special land use permit for a sign at Gaines Jewelry at their new store on South Linden Road. So we're excited to have them moving there. We also have ServPro is in their new building on Lennon Road. And McAllister's Deli opened this last week. So if anybody gets a chance, stop in there and see them. And that's pretty much all I have. I have a few things on the agenda this evening.
Thank you. I'm sure the trustees would like it if I went back and asked them if they had a report this evening. Carol could have helped me with the date. So trustees, do we have any reports that you want to share with us?
I'll
Go
go
ahead,
last. I'll go last.
Okay, trustee Vert.
Maybe I want to go last this time.
I'm being the gentleman.
I just want to let you know that Officer Cheese and I are working on more dates for the cleanup in the township. And when we pick those dates, we'll put it out on Facebook and let everybody know. It'll be after July 4th.
And is that it, Barb?
That's it. Yep.
I wanted to say thank you for your work, Barb, and the C words also. I was at the driveway over by the police department, and when you look at their entryway, it's really beautiful. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Seward, for your work this year. Those gardens require a lot of maintenance, and someone has to do it every year. And thank you for doing it this year. And Barb, over at the township, the flowers are beautiful, and I know that's all on you. You do a good job and you keep it up. Thank you for volunteering to do that, all of you.
I wanted to say something to the Seawards too. That is tough work at the police department. That is really tough work. Yeah, so it is appreciated. Yeah, and it looks really, really good. Yeah,
It does. It's beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Trustee Fefdahl. I didn't get the date right on Mike Coburn's passing. Did you have that date? I know you were a Carmen graduate.
June 3rd.
It was June 3rd.
3rd. Yes,
Thank you. And I think he was just shy of, I think he was 65, right?
that's correct.
That's too young. Thanks, Carol. Did you have anything else for us?
Nope, Tracy already mentioned we have our planning commission meeting on Thursday at 6.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
And you're going to be a part of that committee for the Veterans Memorial, right?
Yes.
Thanks.
Are we meeting tomorrow then for anybody that's interested?
Um,
I had it at 1 o'clock.
I'll get back with you on that.
Okay, no problem.
I have a funeral which should be over by then, but I'll let you know. Alrighty. Let's see, Deb, Trustee Campbell, did you have a report this evening?
Nope, not tonight.
And Trustee Clee, the floor is yours.
Thank you. First, we had a ZBA meeting last week in reference to Muffler Man, and they have some issues with the neighbors and with the their currently in existence privacy fence and some changes they want to make to that. It went very well, good discussion. A lot of residents had conversation with them, and they're going to be meeting. Tracy is establishing an open dialogue so that they can get the hopes of the privacy fence they need, and they'll be going towards the planning commission for that. That was all that was there. I'd also like to say I'd like to be part of that veterans. I was originally on the original one way back. So yes, that, and also congrats to Angie as well for her efforts in getting her state certifications on the clerk. So it's great work. And also to Barb and the Seawards, I was at the police station the other day as well, and I know what that ramp is like. Looks great, awesome. And any flowers and anything that we can do right now to spruce up and brighten up, it always looks good. I worked in my yard most of the morning today. I have 6 barrels of junk, just rakings and that I have to put out to the curb this week. The boys are not going to be happy with me, but yeah, thank you, and I'm done.
Thank you, Trustee Clee. Just one more report. John Whiteside from the Road Advisory, did you have a report this evening?
No, I didn't, Karen.
Okay, alrighty, thank you very much. We'll move on to number 11, payment of bills. Madam Treasurer, did you want to explain? Lisa, you're on mute.
Sorry about
There we
that.
go.
I've got two computers and I was trying to unmute the wrong one. Sorry about that. So we did not have any bills for approval this week, but we did have, I just want to acknowledge we had invoices and disbursements that were paid out in the amounts of $6,605.11 on June 3rd and $168,145.10 on June 9th for a total of $174,750.21. And that's authorized by our board's purchasing policy. So nothing to approve.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 12, Madam Clerk.
Yes, included in your packet, you will see the report that was put together by Genesee County Elections regarding the May 2021 special election. I informed you at the last board meeting that we submitted our costs in the amount of $30,245.47. We get reimbursed $0 on that. What this was is to let the county commissioners know how much an election like this costs. The ballpark figure when they first asked was one that was just tossed out, and that was $200,000. And this one came in at $377,432.37 across the 28 municipalities in Genesee County. And as you can see, Flint Township and Grand Lake Township, which are the closest in size as for the number of registered voters, we came in just about $2,400 less than them. So this is to let you know how costly elections are now, and that's it.
Thank you. We'll move on to.
Supervisor, I have a
Yes.
question for
Yes, please.
Clerk Funk. I thought when we were attending some of our countywide MTA meetings that we were told, or when we had the presenters come out for 911 and the health or the community mental health, and that there was going to be reimbursements. They had a pot of money and they were going to be sending some reimbursements back to all of the townships. Have you heard on that?
Nope. We've been told no reimbursement.
Do you remember that, Supervisor Miller?
I know that 911 discussed it. I don't know if it's possible legally to do. I don't have that answer.
I'm going to follow up with them then,
Yeah.
because I was on two different presentations. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure it's legal either. There's only certain elections that are reimbursable. You know, had they put this on the November election, you know, it would have piggybacked off of that, and there wouldn't have been this outlay of funds. That was one of the reasons why we saw this. Why the county wanted to put this together is so that everyone knows the importance of piggybacking an election off of another election, so that you're not incurring costs like this. We weren't prepared to spend this, and we'll have to do a budget amendment in the future.
Right. I'll follow up on that, but also we did hear some, I guess we would say, good news from our meeting last week, where it's in the legislation that they are looking to remove the May election. Is that correct?
It's in the legislation. I don't know if it'll go through. So it would remove the May and the August election, and
Correct.
they would be held in June instead.
Oh, yeah, June and November, right? So,
but
that
still, if they don't piggyback off another election, say they want to call a special one like this, we'll be in the same boat. So it doesn't matter if it's held in May, August, you know, March, February. It doesn't matter, as long as they're not following suit like they should. Then, you know, we get stuck holding the bag like this.
Kathy, can you
So-
tell us one more time the total number of voters in May was?
The total number of voters was, we had, close to 4,000 absentee voters, and we had a handful, maybe 300 if that, at the polls. So if you break that down, what's that? $8 a voter it cost us. $7 a voter, a little over $7 a voter, for the ones that voted.
Thank you very much.
So really, are all the townships kind of forced into, it's not like we have a choice about if there's an election, we have to be there and put it on the ballots, correct?
Yes, we do. The sad thing is this, is that there was two different stories being bantered about. One was that 911 was told that they couldn't put it on the November election. There was the other story that 911 was told to please put it on the November election, and they said, we're not ready. We don't want to put it out there when we know that the voter turnout is going to be high. Whichever one's correct, I don't know. I know that the county commissioners only approved putting it on the ballot because it was absolutely necessary, or we would have lost the 911 funding. So it's just, it's a good reminder that we need to be cognizant about when we put things on the ballot. Like I've been pushing all along that if we go to renew public safety, the public safety millage, we need to piggyback off of another election so that we're not holding the bag, because it's not only costly to us, but it's also costly to the county. So say 27 other municipalities don't have an election, it's just us. That still puts an added burden on the county as well. And we're all facing, budget shortfalls here. So we just need to be cognizant of what we're doing.
Thank you, Kathy. We'll move on to new business. Action item A. Mrs. Tucker, if you want to introduce it before we go into the public hearing, and we have Mike Pfeiffer here from Craft Engineering.
Sure. So this is the special assessment district for Holiday Drive number 109. And this is the public hearing for that project. It is a reconstruction of the roadway of 0.70 miles of Holiday Drive from Bristol Road to the end. And the cost was basically split between all the parcels that the road serves, so that the special assessment district is evenly split between those parcels. And then also the the Bristol Road CIA is paying the 25% that normally the township would incur. So the Bristol Road CIA will be taking that part of that cost. And it amounts to, each parcel is $36,700. And the Bristol Road CIA would be responsible for $293,615. And we're doing this through Special Assessment District. There was a higher cost on this project than originally estimated. A lot of that had to do with, they had several drainage problems on the street that needed to be fixed so that we would be able to keep the road in good shape once it was done. And Mike may have more to say, but that's basically what's going on. Tonight, we're asking for you to hold the public hearing. And then after the public hearing, if you would consider adopting the resolution to move forward.
Mike, did you have anything to add?
You're on mute.
We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. One of these days I will get that down. Well, I need a bigger red X, I think. But anyhow, good evening, Mike Pfeiffer, Craft Engineering. I would say that one thing that Tracy didn't mention about the cost is that the engineering is also paid for by the road commission. So the businesses that are on Holiday Drive wouldn't have to pay for the engineering or the 25% that would be contributed by the DDA or the extension of it. So and the price was somewhat higher, and the main reason for that is that we had to remove and replace a longer stretch of the road we initially anticipated. When we did the preliminary estimates, we thought it would be basically 50% removal and replacement and 50% rehabilitation. But when we got the pavement cores and looked at the pavement more in depth, that we had to actually, the first 1,900 feet of the road had to be removed and replaced, and we're rehabilitating the southerlymost 1,300 feet. So the bulk of the cost is there. And yeah, and the road also, I would say, they've had some drainage problems in the past. And that's one reason why it was the project was delayed a little bit. We had to look into that and fix it. And we found out that the outlet of the drainage system, a 27-inch pipe that drains into the MDOT ditch, was entirely buried and covered up. So we had to make arrangements with the MDOT for them to hire a contractor and go out there and clean it up and ditch it down to the outlet several hundred feet to the south. So that's all opened up. And then the road commission also had to repair some issues in the pipe up around the second curve. And they told me that they did. I mean, I haven't seen the evidence, but they said that the pipe is now clear and running. So, and then we did add some extra catch basins to help with the drainage. There's so much drainage sheet flowing off the properties is that there wasn't enough inlet capacity in the road. So we had some catch basins at low points and between the low points and high points to help pick up that additional surface water. The bids were open just a couple weeks ago. That's why we're having the public hearing tonight. And then if this project were to move forward, I anticipate that construction would start in approximately 1 month. So I would say the latter part of July, and then it has to be completed by no later than October 22nd. I don't know that it will take that long, but that is the completion date. Eventually also, if it were to go forward, all the businesses will be notified in person with a summary of the project and contact information so that they'll have somebody to call or contact if need be. But that's pretty much all I have. If anybody has any questions or things they'd like to ask me about the project, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
And Karen, it looks like there's 2 of the business owners on the line that may want to speak. I'm not sure if they wanted to or not.
Hi, Tracy. Mike, did you beat me to it?
I think you're on, Matt.
Okay. Sorry, I see Mike had popped in there.
Have we opened the meeting, Karen? You're on mute. You're on mute, Karen.
No wonder. Sorry about that. So we're opening up the public hearing at 6:53, and I see Mike and Matt. And if you'd like to speak during the public hearing, please give us your name. And Tracy, do you need their address? I mean, I think you know where they're from.
I think the name suffices.
Okay, go right ahead. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Karen. Hi, I'm Matt here and operate a business on Holiday Drive. And with worked and I've spoken quite a bit with Mike Piper regarding the project. The question for Tracy, you had given the assessment amount of $36,700. What's the time period on that?
In the resolution, they're looking at a 12-year payback.
12 years, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike, you knew this was coming because I just actually was sending you another picture of the flooding from the rain that we had on the 10th a few weeks ago. It's better than it was before they worked on it. Mike McDougall, who's on also, he's affiliated with our business, has a better view on that than I have, but I haven't seen them doing any work on the repair you're talking about on the curve, which would be right on the Coons property. But that's where it flooded, and it rained hard for about a half an hour, as I don't know if it did in your area, if anyone remembers that. But about a half an hour later, there were still 8 to 10 inches of rain of water there. And I know it's really not an option to redo the drain themselves. And Mike talked about adding more catch basins, but it would really be unfortunate if we were to put do the repairs on the road and insufficient drains.
Let me respond to that. Matt, was that right up there by just east of the second curve again?
Yeah, it's that low spot right where right across from the ZEP Association and right at the drive of the guys with the dirt lot, the plow trucks. I don't have the name of that company off of but yeah, I think you're familiar with where that's at.
Well, as I said, the outlet is still, I assume, open and running. Well, what you're mentioning there is right where the road commission was supposed to do some work on the pipe, and they told us that they had done their job, but I didn't see it, you know. So that problem won't remain regardless. It's got to be something in the pipe, and they said that they had taken care of it. They didn't notify us so we could work with them about it. But all I can do is call them tomorrow and tell them that there's still a problem out there and they've got to get out there and get it fixed. We won't leave it. I can promise you that. The problem
Mike,
won't be left.
Can you ask for a report of what they've done?
Yeah, I tried to, and they haven't really. It was done by one of their inspectors overseeing it, and everything seemed to be verbally. But I will state that we need to have something in writing summing up exactly what they did. But it sounds to me there's no way. You said it's set for quite a while, right, Matt? The water.
Yeah, set. And Mike can verify that when he gets on. But I waited till it stopped raining, and it was probably 20 to 30 minutes before I had left that it was still there. So I'm not saying for certain they didn't. All I'm saying is we saw them out here working. They were vacuuming the catch basins. The clearing of the pipe Mike's talking to is right behind our property line. So Mike McDougal actually saw that, and yeah, it was completely buried and it's flowing. But Mike, as you and I discussed, there's, when they built this originally, there's not enough capacity for the water. They stayed with the same size pipe, and so adding more catch basins, if the water won't flow away at the rate, it's not going to matter how many catch basins there are if there's not enough size of the exit pipe to take the volume of water away.
Right. Well, theoretically, the pipe should be bigger, but the sizes there now should transfer the water to where it's got to go without it flooding the road. Okay. So it sounds to me there's something still in that pipe that they didn't completely deal with. They told me when they did it, they ran a camera in from one manhole, went about halfway, they ran into something. They went to the next manhole downstream, went the other way, about halfway, ran into the same thing. And all I can go by is what they told me. But I mean, I can assure you that I'll get together with them tomorrow and tell them that we need something in writing that outlines what was done. But yeah, the thing with the storm sewer, theoretically, yes, it should be a bigger pipe. But the pipe that's there now, as I say, it should, transfer the water under most typical summer rains. And then the worst case situation, it would back up in the road a little bit, but that should only be during a major summer rain, that possibility. But I would be surprised if that even happens if they've got that pipe properly cleared out and functioning. So it seems to me that there's still something going on with the pipe. And I will contact them tomorrow, and I'm sorry It wasn't done before this, but as I said, the information they gave me, that they'd taken care of everything and the pipe was open and running. And it
Okay,
was
all
the
right.
road commission that administered that.
And that's fine. I appreciate that. And you can forward them if you want the backup, you can forward them the pictures I sent you, the excellent, one of the picture I just sent you that, Mike had taken, and there's a car going through it. You can actually see how high the water is. I said one other thing, Tracy, you gave the assessment. I didn't get the number of, I didn't get the full amount. I don't know if you gave the full amount of the, cost of the repair of the project.
The total construction cost is $1,067,692.50. There's a 10% contingencies of $106,769.25. Engineering is $192,000 for a total of $1,366,461.75. So $1,366,461.75. And then out of that, you have the road commission contributing the $192,000 for the engineering. You have Bristol Road CIA contributing $293,615.44 with a balance of $880,846.31 to be split by the parcels. Now, I also want to remind everybody that we have applied at the state to get funds for these roads, as well as the roads we looked at last week. I did speak with Callie Abrams from Senator Ananich's office this past week, and they are still working on trying to get it for us. They are looking at something coming out of committee by July 4th. So that cost could go down. At this point, whatever they set tonight is the highest cost it can be for the special assessment district. If we don't use the contingencies, your costs will go down. If we get money from the state for the roads, the cost will go down. That's being bore by the landowners. But we can't put in that we've received that money if we haven't received it yet. So, but be aware that we are still trying to get it.
So
All right, thank you.
Still in the public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on Special Assessment District 109 Holiday Drive? Anyone else? Okay, if there's no one else who wants to speak, we'll move on. And we will close the public hearing at 7:03 p.m. So, as Tracy mentioned, we have a resolution before us that's needs to be adopted. If someone would make a motion to move forward.
Clee would move. Whoop, sorry, Kath.
Go ahead, Tom.
You can go ahead.
All right, Clee would move to adopt the resolution for Holiday Drive number 109 and for the special assessment on that district in regards to Holiday Drive 109, with the total cost being, if split by each of the residents along that drive, of $880,846.31. Total cost overall of $1,366,461.75.
I think Tracy, did you have something to say, Tracy? No?
No, all they have
sorry,
to
I
do though
misread
is
you.
adopt the resolution, because the resolution
We'll list all of
stresses
that.
all that, but that's okay. You were very thorough.
But we do want to say, in your paperwork, we talked about a 12-year payback at an interest rate of 4.75. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right, Tom?
Correct.
And do we have a second to the motion?
After will support.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any questions? So just to be clear, Tracy, if the state does give some money for these road projects, these 10 road projects that we've been doing through special assessment, that can be applied to reduce, but since we don't know yet, we have to proceed with what we have.
Correct. At this point, once you've adopted this, what you're voting on right now, their costs can go down. It cannot go up. So.
Did you receive any other information? Anybody else saying they were in favor of it or against it? Did anyone speak out on that?
No, I haven't received any other communication from anybody.
Are there any other questions? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you do a roll call, please, on adopting the resolution approving the Special Assessment District 109 Holiday Drive?
Yes, Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdahl,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move on to action item B. Mrs. Tucker?
This is the public hearing for the Austin's Parkway project. This project has 19 parcels. The split on this varies because of the sizes of the parcels. The total construction cost is $552,742. We also included 10% for contingencies. If that doesn't get used, again, that will come out of the total cost. There's $125,000 for engineering. The road commission, that gives us a total project cost of $733,016.20. $125,000 of that will be paid by the road commission for the engineering, and then $152,004.05 would be paid by the DDA, and then the remainder of the $456,012.15 would be paid by the parcel holders, the landowners. And again, as with the last one, we're still trying to get funds for this, but at this point, we have not received confirmation from the state.
Okay, so we have a public hearing and I don't know if we have an issue here or not, but I'm looking on the agenda and it has Holiday Drive listed twice. And I'm just wondering.
I think there was a glitch because the Plant Moran thing had the algorithm issues that I had to fight through, and I think there was a glitch here because it was initially listed as what it should have been. So I apologize for that.
I just want to make sure that anyone who was a part of the special assessment district got notice that we're having the public hearing tonight. Was that in the newspaper?
It was in the newspaper, and they were also each mailed notice to each. Notice was mailed to each parcel owner.
Okay, so let's just correct this here. This is for Tracy already mentioned it. Austin Parkway. Is it 108? Tracy, District 108?
Hold on. I want to make sure I give you the right one. Austin's Parkway. And for some reason that didn't print out when I was doing the when I printed
I
out.
don't have that in my notes either. No.
No, I don't
Yeah,
need.
Flushing Road.
Okay. Austin's Parkway is 108. Holiday Drive was 109.
So our requirement is for notification, and that's been done appropriately. It was just a misprint on the agenda. So I don't think we have an issue because of the printing in the newspaper and the notice to each parcel owner. So let's proceed, and I'll find out. We can talk with Peter tomorrow and make sure that we're covered on this. And if not, I'll let you know, but we'll open up the public hearing for Austin Parkway Special Assessment District 109 at 7:10 PM. And if there's anyone here, and I don't see anyone, who would like to speak during the public.
Quick question, is this 109 after, I thought, or Tracy, did you say 108 on this one?
Did I say,
108.
it's
This one's
108, did I say
108.
109?
Yes,
Sorry, yes, 108
okay.
for Austin Parkway. So like I said, we'll open the public hearing at 7:10. If anyone would like to speak on this special assessment district for Austin Parkway, now's the time. Tracy, have you received any information?
No, I haven't heard from anybody on this one at all.
And I guess I should have asked you, I know we opened the public hearing. I don't believe that there's anyone online who would like to speak on this issue. Am I right? I don't see anyone else.
No, when we didn't have anybody show up the first time we had the public hearing for this one.
And you've received nothing in the mail.
No.
So we can close the public hearing at 7:11 PM. And for the sake of the trustees, Mike, did you have any information to give us on Austin Parkway?
Yes, I will say one thing. My dentist is on that road and he's in favor of the project, he told me. So that's why he's not on the call tonight. He wants it to go through, but I guess you could be on this call to voice your support just as well as you could the other way. So
Your next dental
basically-
exam cost is going up, I'll have you know.
So the road's about 2,300 feet long, and the first 600 feet of the road where it's concrete has to be removed and replaced. So that will be put back with a asphalt over limestone road, and then the remainder of the road, from the about 1,700 feet to the north, south of Hogarth, that's going to be rehabilitated. So there we'll take out, mill off 4 inches of asphalt, repair the asphalt that's left. There's approximately existing 12, 13 inches of asphalt there now. We will reconstruct all the catch basins, repair the curb, and then resurface that section with 4 inches of asphalt. So all of the entire road will appear that it's new. Although we're reconstructing half of it and rehabilitating the other part of it. And this project also I anticipate would be under construction in about approximately a month, plus or minus. And then it's also like Holiday Drive, it has to be completed by no later than October 22nd. And also all the businesses will receive a handed out notification prior to construction, making them aware of the project and who they can contact. That's about it.
Thank you very much. So a motion would be in order to move forward on adopting the special assessment district for Austin Parkway, number 108.
Funk moves that we adopt the Austin Parkway Special Assessment District Resolution number 108.
Is there a second to the motion?
Campbell will second.
Thank you. Any questions or further discussion? Just to be
Just how
sure
far
this one.
back-
Go ahead,
I
Kathy.
just have a question. How far back is the area that's going to have to be completely taken out? I mean, will that affect any of the businesses like Canova or Harley Davidson? Will it be just one at a time, or are they going to take the whole road out at one time, or how's that going to work?
This is Mike Pfeiffer. Yeah, we're actually taking out the concrete section, which is about 700 foot north of Miller Road. But no, we have to maintain local traffic in and out of there. So basically, the only thing we can do, we're going to build it one lane at a time, and we're going to excavate, remove the pavement, excavate, and put the stone base back before the day ends. But basically, the local traffic will have to be maintained while the project's being constructed. Now, there are going to be some inconveniences, but businesses are going to be allowed to have their customers come and go. It's just that it might be take a little bit longer to get there than it normally would.
Okay, that answers my question.
So,
Question.
I noticed Kathy on the agenda that you sent, it was correct on the first agenda that was sent over with Austin Parkway. Let's go ahead and vote on this, adopting this resolution. We have a motion and a second, and Tracy, you'll let us know if there's any issues with any of what we've done tonight. Go ahead, Lisa.
I just had a question. I'm kind of backing up a little bit because I'm looking at the Holiday Drive resolution that we adopted on number 3 as far as the repayment. Just because this is my first time through setting up a special assessment, it's saying we're going to be billing them as opposed to it going on the tax roll. Is that correct? I'm trying to understand how that plays out.
If they will get a bill, they can pay the entire amount. If they don't pay the full amount, then it gets assessed yearly as payments.
With the
to their
interest,
tax.
yeah.
Pay the total amount within what time frame?
It's usually, we usually give them 30 days to pay it. And then if they don't pay the full amount, then it gets leaned to their tax bill, but in increments. When we'll send them all that information once we have final billings from the road commission, so we have the final costs of the project.
So it won't be leaned at least until winter taxes.
Correct.
At
That's
the
when it
very
would be
earliest,
leaned.
and maybe not then, maybe even summer of, I guess we'll have it in time for winter. Just trying to understand how that all will play out with the
Yeah,
taxes
they
coming
should
up
all
here.
hit the winter tax this year.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Any
welcome.
other questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So as it was with the ones that we approved last week, and then these moving forward, those billings come out of the tax department, correct?
I don't know how we're gonna handle that. I don't know if they're going to have us doing it through the DDA. I guess we'll have to look. I haven't discussed that yet with Karen.
Yeah, we haven't, have we? All right, so we'll figure that out, and you'll probably be a part of that discussion, Kathy. All righty, any other questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, for adopting the resolution for the Special Assessment District for Austin Parkway number 108.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Shaftdow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. Action item C is the rezoning ordinance for 5008 Flushing Road. Mrs. Tucker.
Yes, this was the, by approving this ordinance, you're approving that property to go back to an R1B zoning, which is what the property surrounding it is. It still looks like a house, even though it was used as an office for several years. And they have requested that it be zoned back to residential. It's on, I don't know if you're familiar with this. This is the house that's on the northwest corner of Linden and Flushing Roads. And the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the approval of this ordinance.
Thank you. A motion is in order to move forward on approving the resolution to change the zoning of 5008 Flushing Road on the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Anyone?
Funk moves that we approve the rezoning of 5008 Flushing Road to, from office to R1B residential.
Is there a
Clee would-
second to the?
Clee would support.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to approve the resolution changing, rezoning the property at 5008 Flushing Road.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Safdowell,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes,
motion carried.
thank you. We move on to action item D. It is a resolution approving the special assessment certifications to the 2021 summer tax roll. Did you want to say anything, Lisa?
Well, this was provided by the assessing department, and this is for the delinquent sewer and water in the amount of $422,934.52.
Does anyone want to make a motion to approve this resolution?
I have a
Funk
question. About it.
will,
I have a quick question first. So does this mean that people that were delinquent, that we would add this to their summer taxes?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Kathy, sorry.
Funk moves that we approve the special assessment certifications to the 2021 summer tax roll and allow for any corrections or omissions to be added if necessary prior to the tax bills going out.
Is there a second to the motion?
Campbell, second.
Campbell, thank you. I know last week, when those notices went out, $6,600 came in. People paid their, and in all those payments, they paid off their past due. So thank you very much for that motion in the second. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the resolution approving the special assessment certifications to the 2021 summer tax roll in the amount of $422,934.52.
Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Safdowell,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes,
Mrs. Funk, yes, motion carries.
thank you. Action item E is to consider the offer to purchase township-owned property at 2105 Mill Road. I know this may seem like you've seen this before, because this would be our third formal offer. The first time was for 50,000, and then they came down to 30,000 and the board approved it. Then we had another offer about a year later, and she offered 30,000, and we haven't seen her since. And let's see, Marcus Brown and I think it was Paul Nebraski did a walkthrough with this lady, and she contacted Stewart. So I'm bringing this offer to the board. I don't know if anyone's seen the condition of the old turkey farm. It's in rough shape, and it's been sitting there empty ever since the owner stopped occupying it from several years ago. And we took it in a tax reverted property. And it's going to require a lot of work to bring that up to code. The lady who's asking to purchase it is Shia Conway. She's offering $12,500, and she's wanting to put in a homeopathic natural oil, essential oil sort of boutique. And so if we want to move forward, a motion is in order.
Anderson moves that we accept the offer for 2105 Mill Road in the amount of $12,500.
Is there a second to the motion?
Safdowell will support.
Any questions or discussion?
I have a question.
Yes,
Could we counter that amount?
we could.
I mean, is that something that anybody thought about? Because the last offer was what? You said it was 30,000?
Yes.
That was last year. It's just a thought.
Yeah,
I
and
wondered about that too.
if you guys have been up there, people are stealing stuff off the building for resale. So you'll notice there's more wood boarding it up. And I don't know if any of you have been in there, but it's a mess inside. I saw pictures. Anyhow, we could counter if that's what you want to do.
No, I didn't say I wanted to. I just thought of that and said, did anybody else think of that? And she went through it.
It's been sitting out there for quite a while, and I think
Right.
if we don't get it back on the tax roll, it's going to become a demolish.
Yeah, well, we'll be responsible for that.
Right.
Plus, not only will it get back on the tax roll, then she'll be responsible for maintenance, which would be a very good thing. Trustee Clee, did you have something to say?
No, I was just going to reiterate what Barb had said, and in the same respect, whether we look at 30 grand, whether we look at that initial 50 grand from a few years back, or we take 12.5 right now, it puts, bottom line, it puts it back to where we're not the liable owner of that piece of property. We're not the ones worrying about people jumping in, breaking in, da 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 da.
Right.
12 grand or 24 grand. I mean, if she's offering 12.5 and next thing you know, she puts 30 grand into it to bring it up to par. Hey, we've got a building back doing good things for us in the community. So I would be in support of this.
Any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the proposed offer to purchase the township property at 2105 Mill Road by Maisha Conway. The parcel number is listed 07-04-551-017 in the amount of $12,500. And we would quit claim deed that over to her if she shows us the money.
Are we going to give her a time frame for getting the money to us like we've done with other things in the past?
Yeah, I think she's ready to give that cash right away. So, yeah, I mean, the others, they never showed up. And so the deal fell through. They
Okay.
showed interest and they just walked away. So I think she's ready to do that.
She had said she
Okay.
wasn't going to bring the offer until she had the money to come to you. So she's been working on this for probably 6 or 8 months.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Fastow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Clee,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item F, Madam Clerk.
Okay, well, I never thought I would be a postal meter expert, but here I am. It's time to upgrade our postal meter. For those who haven't ran any postage through it, it makes this really bad noise, like it's going to be the last letter that ever goes through, and it goes "Rar, rar," like it's not going to come through at all. So Quadient, which used to be Neopost, reached out to us, and we've been using Neopost, now Quadient, for gosh, nine years, I think. And their machines are much heavier duty than what we found with Pitney Bowes. Anyway, so Quadient's been our meter provider, and it's time for us to look at upgrading. And they have a program called Why Wait? Our meter is not due to be upgraded until March 5th of 2022, but they have a program where you can update your machine now, and you're locked in at the old rate, which is $218 per month until March 5th of 2022. There's 2 machines that I discussed with Carrie Cotter, our sales rep. We have 2 different options. We have the IX7DS. That includes, if you look through your presentation from her, it has a scale that weighs it as it's going through. It's on the fly. So you could take a whole stack of, like in our department, you could take a stack of ballots, you could take a stack of applications, you could take a stack of our voter registration cards, and you could mix them all up and run it all through the machine at one time. Now, you either have to run them through the machine separately, turn the machine off, turn it back on, weigh them again, and then run through at the appropriate amount. This way, they would be all running through at the same time. You would have the right amount on each card, like voter registration cards are either 31 or 35 cents. An application is 51 cents because it's metered. And a ballot, it depends actually on the ballot. It's either 71 or 75 cents. So that would save a lot of time. It would also be a money saver in the long run. However, I realize that there's a difference between this machine and then the other one. We would get basically the same machine that we have right now, which is the IX7. That would, we just get a new model of it. That would increase to $296 per month, effective March 5th. We are on the high end of postal usage. We ran 58,000 plus pieces of mail through the machine last year alone. 28,000 pieces of that mail were keyed in. That means I put it in my memo. You weigh it and then you kind of guess what it is. You might add 25 cents to make sure it's going to go through. So about 28,000 of those pieces were guesses. And then that would be eliminated with the first machine that I talked about. So it's really whatever. Also with the first machine that I talked about, there's a dashboard on the computer that anybody can go into, accounting can go into it, your own respective department can go into it. You can see how much money you've spent on your postal budget. As you know, we have to pay ahead. Like if we know that we're going to be sending out ballots and we have to put in a request for postage. This way we could go in and say, okay, well, we requested $5,000 worth of postage. We have $4,980 of it left. Right now, we only do that on a monthly basis with a flash drive because our machine does not have that capability. So that's another thing to look at. Just for a little bit of historical purpose, like I said, I know way more about postal machines than I ever thought I would know. But when we started out with NeoPost, now Quadient, prior to the machine that we have now, basically the accounting of how much department was using in postage was done on a Post-it note, and then that was given to the accounting department. And now we use a flash drive and the machine breaks it down per department. But going the one step further with the dashboard, each department could see where they're at. The accounting could track it better. So it's either here nor there with me as to which one we get. I think the first one would make our lives a whole lot easier, and I think it's going to save us a lot of money in the long run. We won't have those pieces of mail that are being keyed in manually. There won't be any of that. Oh, let me add 25 cents just to make sure it gets there. It's going to put on exactly what it needs.
So, Madam Clerk, your recommendation is a IX7DS mailing system at $406 per month after this contract's up in March of 2022?
That would be my preference, yes, just because of the amount of mailing that we do and the fact that we had 28,000 pieces that were manually keyed in. And that means if you add a quarter to each of those, or you even add 5 cents to each of those, we're wasting money.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Does someone want to make that motion? on clerk's recommendation?
I have one quick question again. So for how many months? So I get it. It sounds like it's a really good machine. I think I'm.
60 months.
Favor, 60 months. Okay.
5 years.
I would make a motion that we would move, get the iX7 DS that can allow us to divide by departments and weigh out the true amount, which I think would save money.
Was that 406, correct, Kathy?
Yeah, that's 406 per month starting March 6th,
22.
2022. Until then, we pay $218 per month.
Is there a second to the motion?
Clea would support that.
Any further discussion? Barbara, you talking? You're on mute.
I
There you
was
go.
talking to the silent stream, yes. Kathy, when did you talk to this company or your, I forgot her name about this?
Carrie Cotter, last week. We started talking probably about a month ago, but then she put together the quote for us.
Okay. I mean, I am in support of this, but I think with the amount of mail last year that it was an election year, and I think that counted for a lot of that. But I will support the trial of this new postage meter.
Well, that being said, just so you know, 58,000 last year, it doesn't matter how big of an election or how small of an election, we still have to send out the same amount of applications because of the people on the permanent list, which is now close to 10,000. So that's a 10,000 piece mass mailing at that time. And with the way that things are going right now, I don't think it'll be the crazy busyness of November 2020, but I think we're going to bust all records for the gubernatorial in 2022.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is this in the budget? Or we're gonna have to adjust it?
So the current postage machine is at, how much is it, Kathy?
218.
218 per month. So we would carry that through until March 5th of 2022. So then the 406 could be built into the budget for 2022.
2022 budget, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the purchase of the, oh, I just lost it.
iX7DS.
Thank you. All righty, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fastow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
thank you. Sorry if I bored you with my postal meter knowledge. Like I said, I know more than I ever thought I would know.
And the staff will be happy to get a new postage meter. Good. Action item G, Madam Clerk.
Yes, I received from the Michigan Townships Association the principles of governance. This is something that we adopt when a new board always comes in. I don't know if anybody wants me to read it. I would suggest someone else reading it because I'm gonna lose my voice here in a few minutes. So it's just what we pledged to do as a board. And we informed the Michigan Townships Association that we did approve it, and we all sign it, and then it's hung in our meeting room.
There's one in there now, but it was recommended that since we have a new board that we re-approve these, right?
Correct.
So if someone would like to make that motion, it'd be appreciated.
Clea would move that we accept the Michigan Township Association Principles of Governance as presented.
Is there a second to the motion? Who was that?
It was Bert.
Bert, thank you. Any further questions or discussion on this? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the Michigan Township Association Principles of Governance. resolution?
Mrs. Fattal,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt.
Yes.
Motion carries, and I will put the original in the trustees' baskets in the closet. Well, the one original copy, and then we can sign it as we go along, and then it will be framed and hung in the meeting room.
Thank you. There, we got a frame in there right now, so,
Yeah.
number 4, is that all? Is that everything, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Number 14, announcements. So, our next meeting is July 5th. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
So we're anticipating hearing from the, County Board of Commissioners that they are going to be lifting their emergency declaration between now and the 4th of July. That's an appropriate time, huh? And so, the governor's lifting their, all mandates tomorrow. And I want to let the board know that the signs that have been, at the entryways of our 3 entrances at the township building and then the police department, those are gonna be lifted tomorrow. That means, any limit on the number of people coming in the building and, a mandate requiring people to wear a mask or, I think that was it. Of course, if they're sick, they shouldn't be coming in, but those are gonna be lifted. The governor lifted the, work from home mandate on the 24th, I believe, of last month. And so by next Monday, all employees will be working in person. Yet you had something, Madam Treasurer?
I just want to be clear on that, the July 5th. Are we open on that day? Is
That's
that
a-
not the observance of 4th of July?
That's a holiday. That's the observed holiday. You're right.
It is.
I have it on my calendar, so we must have approved it, I'm thinking, but I don't know why we would have approved it on that day.
We approved it. It's because I believe, I don't have it in front of me. I believe the July 4th holiday is in lieu of for our clerical, so we would actually be open on that day. Like we're open for other times, and then they could take their holiday when they want to because of the way that it falls. So, because it falls on the weekend. So I think they get an in lieu of, so we would be open that day.
I'm just checking real quick here. January 1st, April, May, June, July. It's showing on the calendar that we approved July 5th Board of Trustee meeting, 6 PM. And I believe that's going to be in person. If nobody else has an objection, I think that if the governor's lifting the mandate and if we indeed see Genesee County lift that mandate, our next board meeting, July 5th, will be in person. If I hear anything different, I will let you know. Does that sound good?
Yes. Thank you.
Alrighty. Any other announcements, Madam Clerk? No?
Sorry, no.
So, next meeting for sure, we should do the second reading of the cost recovery amendment to the ordinance. And we should have a fee schedule there too. So, if there's no further business and, without objection, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. At work or at play, you're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Oh, hey, she's cute. Nice going, man. Things are going great for you. You've earned a night out. Good drinks, good friends. Yeah, we can go ahead and call this a good night. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Not smart. Yeah, I saw that coming. Say goodbye to her. Ouch, that'll hurt your bank account. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. I hope you like eating frozen dinners. Alone. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.